Hello, my name is Sarah Rivera, and my speech is on postpartum depression. So, postpartum depression is a very serious and common medical complication that women go through during and after their pregnancies. Um, postpartumdepression.org states that 70 to 80% of all women will experience PPD during and after their pregnancies. And because it's very unrecognizable, you tend to just brush off the symptoms because they're very common in other stuff and emotions in your everyday life. So it's really hard to get help, and sometimes by the time you do get help, it's too late and you could have done something terrible to you or your kid. So those are some things to look out for if you're a new mom. First, we'll go over the symptoms of postpartum depression, and then we'll go over the longer lasting effects that it has on children as they grow older into their teenage years and everything. And then third, we'll go over overcoming the symptoms and everything like that. So first, some of the signs and symptoms to look out for if you're a new mom is anger and feeling very irritable during or after your pregnancy, feeling very frustrated or worried, trouble sleeping. Obviously that's going to be a very common one because with the newborn your sleep schedule is going to be all over the place, so it would be very hard to be able to pinpoint that to a specific disease or medical condition. Sadness is a very big one too, because you feel very sad during this time and you don't know why. Mood swings, like 1 minute you're very happy, then you're sad, then you're angry, and you don't know what it could be. Could have just been you, or your kid might have done something to trigger it, or maybe your spouse. Anxiety is also a very common one too. But you see these symptoms that are very common in other stuff, and like stuff you just like emotions you feel throughout the day, so you can't really blame it exactly on postpartum depression. But if you're a new mom, that's something to consider. SkylarkStudy.com said that more of the intense symptoms that you might feel is trouble bonding with your children, and even more intense, you have harmful thoughts about yourself or like towards your children. So definitely take those into consideration if you were having a kid. Next, I'm going to explain the causes that it has for children being born to a mother who has postpartum depression. They can feel really neglected because their mom is feeling all these emotions. They don't know why. So PharmacyTimes.com said that kids who are born into it tend to have a stunt in their emotional growth. So they have like typically during the ages of like 3 and 4, that's like when you're most picking things up as a kid. You're like learning, you're very weary about everything that's going on, so having a parent that's not really there is kind of going to be effective towards them. It also affects children or kids, teenagers from the ages of 16 to 18 because they didn't really have anyone to fall back onto as a child, so they act out. So it can cause behavioral problems and also like lower test scores in school and stuff like that. So we'll get over to overcoming postpartum depression. So here I have a chart that I made about the percentages of people who get help, who don't get help, and then people who don't even know that they have it. So the green one states or shows how many percentage of women get help. So only 20% of women actually get help when they have postpartum depression. That's, as you can tell, not very much, like way less than it should be. 50% get no help. They either, they don't really know that they have it, or they just tend to think that it's something else that's going on in their life. And the blue represents the cases that go undetected. So those people, they don't even know that they have it at all. They're just there, it's emotions, whatever. So and kind of brushing it off isn't a good thing either, because if you bottle something up, it's going to explode sooner or later. So it's not very good. Here we get into regiscollege.edu states that seeing a therapist could help, not cure it, but help talk about your emotions and get into interpersonal issues and, you know, avoid or control your thoughts on harmful things to yourself or your kid. It can also regulate your emotions, talking to someone, talking it all out. There's also like medication you can take. You don't really like talking about your problems. You can take medication like fluoxetine and sertraline. They could be very useful for that specific thing. Self-treatment, there's many self-treatment options like exercising, pursuing a hobby, just finding time to yourself, unwinding, relaxing, and stuff like that. Talking about your problems definitely will help. I definitely recommend that one, and then also don't be embarrassed to talk about your problems or tell people or get help from someone, you know, your mom or your friend or therapist, stuff like that. So yeah, getting to the end of the speech, you know, it's very unrecognizable. So if you are a new mom, take into consideration of everything that could possibly be postpartum depression. So the memorable statement that I chose is to the mom standing or struggling with postpartum depression: you are not alone, and don't give up. So thank you for listening to my speech.